Welcome to our weekly live show. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians, and thrilled to come to you today to share with you how you can embrace fear in order to grow and what are some of the strategies that you want to be focusing on to be able to overcome the things that are stopping you from growing into your fullest potential. Say hello in the chat if you are watching us live today. Let me know if you are able to tune in because I love hearing your questions. I love having a chance to understand what are your perhaps main concerns as it relates to growth and being able to overcome the fear that you may be feeling. What are some of the things that you're trying to deal with right now that are perhaps stopping you from living into your fullest potential? So say hello, everyone. Welcome again. And let's dive right in. Why is fear a normal part of growth and why it's important to be able to embrace this? When it comes to building and growing and scaling your business, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that the thing that separates musicians who are able to overcome challenges and to get themselves to a completely new level, not only financially, but also in terms of time freedom, in terms of location freedom, it comes to their ability to not just avoid fear, because I don't think fear is avoidable, but to learn how to overcome the fear and the doubt and the hesitations that are meant to stop them and how to move past those from a place of faith, from a place of love. And it comes down to the way you interpret your current reality. You see, so for so many of you, you are going right now through your life in a way that is perhaps challenging. Let me know if you relate to this. Maybe you are understanding that the way you're building your business is not sustainable. Maybe there's a schedule that is stopping you from really feeling balanced. Maybe you have too much on your plate. Maybe you're feeling that time is just never enough for all the things that you want to do. And I can tell you, I can relate to that because I have been in that situation so many times in my life. And it's something that I'm constantly trying to figure out for my own self. How do I manage the anxiety and the fear around any situation in order to get to the next level? What are some of the coping mechanisms that you can start thinking of in order to overcome that? Because the difference between those musicians who are able to create amazing businesses and prosperity in their lives and those who stay stuck is their relationship with fear, just like their relationship with time and their relationship with money. And so let me take a step back and clarify, what do I mean with that? Well, we all have relationships in our lives. Okay. I want you to think about this as the stories that you tell yourself about your reality. Okay. If you are someone who, for example, as it relates to time, you're constantly telling yourself, there is not enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't know if I can do this. There's not enough time. And you're constantly feeling that there's scarcity of time, then you're going to react and live your life based on that assumption that there's not enough time. The same thing happens with money. If you're finding yourself struggling with money and thinking, oh, I don't really know if this is going to work out, and I don't really know if I can afford this, and this is too much, and you're constantly fighting with this relationship with money, feeling that things are inaccessible and then you can't reach your goals, then that relationship that's how you interpret your relationship with money. The same thing happens with fear. If you're the type of person that feels fear in certain moments in your life, whether it's about reinventing yourself, whether it's about making changes, whether it's about having conversations with people, whether it's about setting the right type of boundaries, if the idea of growth and business innovation and reinvention comes with a little bit of fear associated with it, your ability to interpret that fear and to take actions in spite of that fear is what will make or break your success. So let me like reiterate this in a way. If you are the type of person that up until this point, when you do feel fear, you interpret it as a sign of stopping you, as a sign that you must like retreat and cancel whatever it is, the thing that you're trying to do for growth, that you're trying to challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone. If you interpret fear as a sign that you need to stop, then now is your opportunity to reframe that relationship that you may have had up until the past with fear. And instead of interpreting it as a sign of stopping, can you switch that narrative to be able to say, what if this fear is nothing other than a sign that I am in a state of evolution, that I am in a state of growth, that I'm expanding out of my comfort zone. And that just like when we are pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, we have to reach a certain ceiling, right? Think about it as, like, for example, your feet. When your feet are growing, the size of your shoe will start feeling tighter as you expand the size of your foot, and you need to buy bigger shoes because your shoes feel tight. If you are going to the gym and you're lifting muscles and you're lifting weights and you're trying to build muscle, when is the point where your muscle actually grows? It's when you reach your limit, right? And when you reach that turning point where you cannot lift one more repetition, when the muscle starts tearing down and starts showing you that you have to stop, that is when the muscle is actually starting to grow, right? It's not when you're just lifting comfortably and just feeling like, yeah, I can do 10 more of these reps, right? No, it's when you get to that point of like, oh, I can absolutely do nothing else. This is the last rep. That's when the muscle actually starts building and growing. Yet for so many times when we are in a state of growth and reinvention in our lives and we feel the fear, we interpret it as a sign of, no, I have to stop. This is not, like, I'm not supposed to move forward. I have to stop and go back and stay in my comfort zone. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, except it feels more safe. So the degree to which you can separate your feelings from interpreting what the actual condition is about, and instead of feeling that whenever you have fear, you need to retreat, you need to stop, but instead recognize that this is part of growth. And not only that, but especially as it relates to the way you are relating in your business, the way you are building your business. Next week, we're going to be presenting our masterclass that we're going to be breaking down exactly how you can reinvent your music business, how you can learn to work in a way where you're not having to commit so many hours anymore. And throughout this entire, event, a big topic is fear. A big topic is fear, because the idea of reinvention, the idea of building something that can potentially be presented in a new way to your existing clients and to potential new clients and to your audience, the idea of getting out of what you've been doing always comes associated with this element of fear. There's no way you can avoid it. But the reason why I want to share with you this training is because I want to help you become conscious of your relationship with fear. If you don't realize that you actually have a relationship with fear, and that just like you handle any other relationship in your life, whether it's your relationship with people in your life, friends, family, colleagues, team members, there's always a tone that you set in that relationship, a way that you want to communicate, a way that you want to establish what is right, what is wrong, what do you want, what do you expect, what do you tolerate, right? The same thing needs to happen with your relationship with fear. I want you to see it as, this is fear and this is you. And how do you relate to fear? Are you able to say, okay, fear, I hear you. I realize you're here. And I'm going to acknowledge your presence, and I'm going to acknowledge the fact that you're here to protect me. Because fear always comes from a desire to, self-preservation. Let me put it that way. It's a desire to stay safe. It's a primal instinct that is natural. We're conditioned to always stay in our comfort zone because that's how we stay safe and we survive. But that's not how we evolve. And that's certainly not how we reinvent ourselves. When you are able to interpret that instead of needing to self preserve your business or your identity or your brand or your mission, whatever you're trying to evolve, and instead you realize that the more you're trying to self preserve, the more you're fighting for self preservation, inadvertently, you're creating self sabotage. Because by you stopping yourself every time you have fear, you're sabotaging your goals, you're sabotaging your dreams, you're sabotaging your opportunities for expansion and reinvention and growth and prosperity and opportunities and connections and meaningful impact and building a lasting legacy at the end of the day. And so I want you to really think about this as you're watching this training today. And if you haven't yet registered for our masterclass, I'm going to drop the link in here, Musicians Profit Masterclass, because this is part of what we're going to be diving into a lot more next week. How do you understand the principles of creating a music business in a new and reinvented way where you're not having to trade your time as much, you're not having to be as limited as much, and instead you're able to condition your mind to see the new models that musicians are now using to be able to significantly take control not only over your income potential, because when you stop trading your time, you no longer have any limits over how much you can earn because it's not based on your time. But most importantly, how can you create a lifestyle that is in alignment with your values and your goals? Because here's the thing, just like I want you to reconsider your relationship with fear today with this training, and be able to understand that at the edge of your comfort zone, when you are able to reconcile and have that relationship with fear from a place of acknowledgement, it's okay to be afraid. It's not like it's a shame to be afraid. It's okay. You should embrace that feeling. But you need to also know that if you allow that fear to stop you, if you allow that fear to inform your decisions, if you are trying to create action in your life, but you're not taking that action because you are afraid of a negative outcome, or perhaps something not working out in the way you expected, or what if this doesn't work for me? What if this doesn't work? What if people don't like it? And you start positioning your future from a place of fear, that's what you will actually create. Because what you focus on expands, what your attention goes, energy flows, right? And so here's how you need to look at this and understand that your ability to have a positive relationship with fear, to be able to acknowledge it, and to be able to not let your desire for self preservation create a self sabotage action. Do not allow self preservation to turn into self sabotage. And instead, allow, just like when you are lifting weights at the gym or when you are trying to increase your shoe size, right? There's always going to be that tension before growth happens. When you can recognize fear as a moment in your life where you are expanding out of your comfort zone, and if you are unable to make that distinction between what does a fear from a place of self-preservation mean versus a fear from a place of stalling mean. If you interpret fear as a sign to stop what you're doing, you're always going to find yourself frustrated with your reality. You're always going to say, but I'm not happy with my life. Maybe I'm not happy with my schedule. Maybe I'm not happy with what I'm doing in my life right now. Why am I unhappy? It'll always come down to your relationship with fear. If you interpret fear as a self-preservation slash self-sabotage indicator, then you will always feel stuck. But if you are able instead to turn around that perspective around fear and turn it into a sign that you are at the verge of a catalyst, you at the verge of a new momentum, you are at the verge of a breakthrough in your business, in your life, in your mind, in your emotion, in your relationships, wherever that fear comes through. Because again, this is not just about business. This is about everything in your life. When you can interpret fear as a sign of growth and embrace that fear because you are aware that this is what happens when you expand, that resistance will always be a part of it, then that's when you unlock a superpower. That's when you truly discover what you're capable of. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that those musicians that understand this distinction and are able to make decisions out of faith instead of fear are able to set an anchor and a vision for what they want and to not stop until they get there, even through the adversities, even through the setbacks, even through the challenges that come their way. It is those musicians who are able to create lives by design instead of by default, who are able to create opportunities because they envision what they want instead of what they don't want, and who are able to act as if success was guaranteed. It is that type of mindset that will set the foundation for every single thing you need in your life, business and outside of business. So I want to invite you, if this is resonating with you and you're interested in seeing how you can recondition your mind, rewire your brain, not only to learn the actual tactics and strategies on how you can reinvent your music business, whether you're teaching in person, online, offline, how you can learn the step-by-step process to win back your time, to create a business in alignment with your values, to create a brand that will become magnetic to attract people to you, and how you can finally start earning based on what your financial goals are, not based on what other people believe they need to pay you. How you can reinvent your pricing structure, your teaching structure, your coaching structure, whatever you do, whether you're a gigging musician or a performing musician, a teaching music educator. I want to invite you to continue this conversation with me next week. For 5 days, we're going to be talking about this entire process. And a big component of this is going to be reconditioning your relationship with fear, your relationship with limits, your relationship with time and money. Cannot wait to see you. I hope you join me, Musicians Profit Masterclass. Until next week, I'll see you soon. Let's prosper together. Take care.